Peace, everybody. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. I am here with my dearest brother. His name is
Mumia Abu Jamal.
And we are the hosts of the Classroom and the Cell podcast. I am so glad to be here with my brother today. Mumia, as you know, today is a very special day in American life. I'm using special in quotes, but it is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. When you think about the MLK holiday, what does it mean to you?
It means remembering a life of struggle, a life of sacrifice, and a life of transformation. That's because, he came into his public life. One could be classified as a moderate. And living in America and struggling in America for that period of time, it's a radical affair. And he was radicalized by the events around him, especially the young around. If you think about that period in time, it's when America almost exploded.
It's interesting when you say when we think about that time in America. I say that because so much of the legacy of King is about how we remember him. And it seems as if we've remembered our way out of a real honest engagement with him. It's like we don't remember that America was exploding, as you said. We don't remember that he was an enemy of the state. We don't remember his radical call against imperialism. We don't remember his growing criticism of Israel. We don't remember, him being hated and kicked out of his own National Baptist Convention. And we could go on and on and on. It's like it's like this country is obsessed with forgetting.
That's true. But if that's the case, then what you said can be condensed in 3 or 4 words, essentially. We don't remember him.
Ooh.
If you ignore all of those things that you mentioned, right, then you're not remembering him. You're not even misremembering.
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
What you've done is create a fiction and a myth about him, and you remember the myth because
right.
It's powerful. And this cat, again, what he had, in many ways, he shared this with Malcolm. The transformation, right? I mean, I read that, think about the book "There Is a River" by the great historian Vincent Harding, who wrote his speech, okay, that he gave at Riverside. I mean, he told me this. I wrote that. What? Yeah, I wrote that. I was one of
Yo, that's deep. Vincent Harding wrote the speech?
Yeah. Told me that. But what moved him was someone gave him a copy of Ramparts magazine, a radical magazine that circulated mostly on the West Coast, but around the country in radical circles. And it had pictures of babies, children, burned by napalm. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Was like most Southern men. He loved his meals. He was so shook by those pictures that he missed several meals. A plate would be prepared for him, and he had no appetite because those pictures were in his mind. And those pictures gave rise to his most radical and revolutionary speech at Riverside.
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
And people of this age forget what happened when he gave that speech. He gave that speech, and every major newspaper in the country condemned him without question. The Washington Post, the New York Times. I mean, they were like, you're no longer a leader. No one needs to listen to you. They went cuckoo because he spoke out against the American empire. And he spoke out against racism, militarism, and capitalism. And he said, listen, I can't see the suffering these people are going through and act like I don't see it. And, you know, we're, speaking of the American state, are so powerful and have all these weapons. And these people are people living in tiny villages who have nothing. And they're being bombed by the most powerful country in the world. That's not right. And you know, people forget that every major black leader, right, civil rights leader, condemned it.
That's right.
Right?
Especially the Negro preachers and the bourgeois Negro politicians.
That's right. They turned their backs on him. And, you know, history doesn't remember that, but we do.
And that's why it's our job as, you know, educators, as journalists, as griots, as, you know, whatever role we play in our intellectual and cultural and political life, we have to remind people of that. That means the movies we make have to be different. The depictions we offer have to be different. Because in the same way that we remember Malcolm in certain ways, I remember Malcolm is largely shaped by that movie, by Spike's wonderful, brilliant movie, right? It's like it shapes how we think and talk about it, as well as the autobiography. You know, and similarly with with Martin, we have so much less control over Martin's memory. And again, the Malcolm one ain't perfect, but at least it's generally congruent with who he is, although I got significant critiques. But with Martin, it's like we're so far from who he was. I mean, every year on Twitter for the last few years, I haven't checked this year, but certainly the last 2 or 3 years, the FBI literally tweets Happy Martin Luther King Day and salutes Martin Luther King from the J. Edgar Hoover Center.
The same entity that sent him letters and tapes trying to convince him to commit suicide, signed by J. Edgar Hoover.
Literally. His goal, he explicitly wrote in his letter that my goal is to make you kill yourself.
That's right.
I mean, and for the FBI to be so brazen as to write those notes to him now in 21st century, the truth is, I guess it isn't that brazen because we have forgotten that. You would think that Dr. King died of high cholesterol or diabetes or got hit by a bus. You know? You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't kill him.
Yeah. He was public enemy number one. You know, in fact, the number 2 man, I'm trying to think of his name right now, but his name was Sullivan. His number 2 man at the FBI said he's the most dangerous Negro in America.
Right.
Come on, man. Come on.
Right.
And that's because he was highly educated. He was an influential preacher in a powerful church in Atlanta, and he was speaking truth to power.
Right.
And he was calling America, the empire, out for its militarism, its racism, its capitalism, and its violence.
That's right.
And for that, he was condemned by every major news agency in the United States of America.
Everyone. And again, they act like that ain't the case, but it just is. And that's why I'm frustrated, I think, every year to watch us get further and further from it. It's like a green screen on TV or in the movies where, you know, you put the green screen behind you and you can project onto the person anything you want.
Anything. That's right.
And that's what they do. Republicans project conservatism. They make him a Republican. The pro-lifers make him a pro-lifer. You know what I mean? It's the Zionists make him a Zionist. And it's like, if you nitpick and you dig through the archives, you can pull out a sentence here or there that can support your argument. But the bigger picture, to me, is very, very clear. And it's something that I tweeted this morning, or put it on X, or whatever they call that damn cesspool now. I tweeted out, right. I tweeted out, today let us remember Martin Luther King as he truly was, a black, radical, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, revolutionary Christian internationalist who was deemed an enemy of the state and assassinated for his radical work. Just about everything else is a lie. Yeah, that's who he was. The rest of this?
That's who he was.
Yeah.
That's who
To
he
the core.
was in his heart,
Yeah.
in his essence. That's who he was. He could not look at children burning, and he couldn't weep in his soul, and he couldn't say, I have to do something about this.
Right.
My faith, my God commands me to do something about this. This is wrong.
Right.
And he invited. Well, he called him, Carmichael, Kwame Ture.
Stokely. Yeah.
He said, come to my speech, brother. Come to my speech. Well, why, Reverend? Why? He said, you'll like it. You'll like it. Just come. And he knew that because he was thinking about the young people around him, right?
Yeah.
And Stokely was, I think, at that time, president of the SNCC.
Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. He was. And it resonated with him. He knew, and even that respect. I mean, Stokely would say to King, I don't, when King go to church, when we go to church with King, he said, I don't believe this stuff you're talking, but at least you make me tap my feet. He appreciated his rhetorical gifts, but then he also, but he also recognized him as a radical. He understood that he had a radical analysis, and that what he did on April 4th of '67 in Riverside Church was monumental, and it was just as important as August 28th of '63 in front of Lincoln and in the Washington, in the mall in Washington. It all mattered, and it was all part of a radical legacy and a radical tradition that I think we just don't give enough credit to, and that we're not allowed, as you pointed out, we're not allowed to remember. Yeah, we don't remember him.
Yeah. And is it a coincidence that
You have 1 minute left.
1968 was the date of his death? I don't think it's such a thing as coincidental. To the day, brother.
Yeah.
That's the lesson.
That's the lesson.
That's the lesson. And,
wow.
And we remember him, I think, honorably for his radical and revolutionary critique of empire and of militarism and of capitalism and of racism. He was all of that and more. If we're going to remember him, let us remember him.
Amen. Ashe, free the land. I agree with all of that, brother. It's so good to hear your voice. It's so good to hear your voice on MLK Day, my brother.
I think this is a good day. Good day.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
Love you too, man. On the move. It's always a good day when I can talk to my brother, Mumia Abu Jamal, but it's never a great day until he's free, until he's home. What's the call? Free them all. Salute to all political prisoners. Salute to all revolutionaries, and sending infinite love, respect, gratitude, and blessings to everyone who has been a martyr in our struggle for freedom and justice. And that, of course, includes the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We honor his life. We honor his legacy. We commit ourselves on this day, not to liberal service, but to radical planning, radical thought, radical action, radical resistance. If you want to hear more podcasts from me and Mumia, go to Marc Lamont Hill's official YouTube channel. The Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel has all of our conversations, all of our episodes, as well as other great content that will help offer a different perspective, a radical analysis, a substantive, fundamental critique of empire. You can catch it all here. And if you want to support the channel, all you got to do is join, subscribe, or just hit the like button. All of it matters. And if you want to donate directly to us, you can just go to MLHTV on the Cash App. Again, Cash App, $MLHTV, and make a direct donation to expand the platform, to build up what we're doing, and to make sure that there will always be a radical voice in the wilderness. All right, y'all. Peace.